Well, good afternoon, everybody. JC Garrett here with the Spish Podcast, and it's just a real pleasure to be broadcasting from Papa John's Pizza Eatery in the little Italian area just outside of Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado. I'm joined today by a man that needs no introduction. That would be Mr. Peyton Manning.
Well, hey, JC, thanks so much for having me.
You know, Peyton, one of the things I want to point out for our listeners, which I think is just really fascinating, is that your voice sounds remarkably different in person than it would, say, on a broadcast or during an interview. So,
JC, I'm glad you noticed that. I put on a little southern drawl when I'm out in public because it kind of makes me a little bit more charming. It helps my Q rating. Q stands for people liking you. And I noticed that if I do that little bit of a southern drawl, I get more money from sponsorship deals.
Yeah.
But such as this one, Papa John's Pizza. Have you had this pizza?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
It's better pizza. Do you know what the key is?
Yeah. I don't know. Why don't you tell me?
Better ingredients.
Better ingredients.
Better ingredients, JC.
Better
These ingredients are just fun. Have you had this pepperoni?
Yeah.
It's really good. You might want to take a few of those napkins and wipe off the oil on the top, but go ahead. Go ahead.
It's good. Well, I tell you, I couldn't be more excited to be talking to you. So we had a lot of topics to cover and not a lot of time. So let me just dive right in.
Sure.
For people who don't know on our podcast, the average casual sports fan, give me a very quick background of your collegiate career and why you're choosing the University of Tennessee, go Vols, was such a critically important and nuanced decision for you being a Manning.
Okay, so my father's Archie, and he and my mother, Mom
Manning.
Yeah, Mom. Archie and Mom went to Ole Miss, and there was a lot of pressure for me to go to Ole Miss, and they were actually on suspension by the time I was going to try to go to Ole Miss. So I looked around the SEC at different schools, and I was very highly recruited. And I went to Tennessee because, really, for two reasons. They're the Volunteers, and I like that because I love doing work with Habitat for Humanity. And secondly, I look pretty good in orange. And so I decided, the Vols is a good place for me to go. Tennessee is a great place for me to go. We had a great 4 years there. Just could not have been more blessed. And I still have a lot of love for Ole Miss. My father Archie's alma mater and my mother Mom's alma mater. But Tennessee was just really the right place for me to go.
Sure, absolutely. So what was interesting is that obviously you elected to stay 4 full years at Tennessee, and you could have very well gone to the draft after your third season. Probably still gone number 1 overall. Who knows how interesting that would have been. I think who was drafting number 1 the year before the Colts? We should find out. That's actually I'm really curious.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Yeah, we'll look into that. So anyway, you were drafted number 1 overall by the Indianapolis Colts.
I was.
Had a storied career there.
I did.
Talk to me about the transition of leaving Indianapolis.
Okay. So this the owner of the Colts who paid me a lot of money is a fellow by the name of Jim Irsay. And Jim Irsay is a pompous prick. Yeah. Jeez, I can't stand the guy. No. Can I say pompous prick on this podcast?
I think you can.
Okay, he's a pompous prick.
If not, we'll bleep it out.
Okay. And I won Jim Irsay a Super Bowl, brought Jim Irsay to another Super Bowl. Jim Irsay has never done anything for himself. He inherited the money from his father and just runs this team. And if you ask me, he's running it into the ground. But I had a little bit of a neck problem. A little tinge in my neck. Had to get a few surgeries over in Germany, but, that's what happens. And Irsay gets on his tweet machine and starts tweeting that I might not be there for the long haul. I might not be the guy. And I said, you know what, Jim? I might not be your guy. We made it look like it was an amicable departure, again, for my Q rating. But I've got a number of plots that I've written up on my forehead on what I want to do and how I want to take out Jim Irsay. So that's it. That's it there.
So I want you to quickly comment. A report this week, I think Jim Irsay was talking to USA Today or some sort of actual...
Makes sense. That's his intelligence level.
Yeah.
I'm more of a journal guy myself.
Okay, good.
Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Atlanta Journal-Constitution.
Yeah.
So Jim Irsay is quoted as saying that he was, quote, disappointed to only get one Super Bowl during your tenure there. This, what is on the heels of, or I guess on the toes of, what part of the foot is it before?
The ball of the foot.
The ball
probably.
of the foot. This is on the ball of the foot right before you were about to travel to Indianapolis for your homecoming back to your original team to play the Denver Broncos versus the Indianapolis Colts. So do you have any comments on the fact that Jim Irsay was disappointed that you only were able to bring one Super Bowl during your 13 years in Indianapolis?
Yeah, I was disappointed we only won one Super Bowl too. I've got a brother. His name's Eli. Have you heard of this guy?
I've heard the name, yeah.
He sucks.
Yeah, terrible.
I tell you, he's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got 2 Super Bowls, and I only have 1. And you know what? I'm really, really freaking good. But this Irsay guy, surrounded me with a bunch of guys named Marvin.
Yeah.
I made a guy named Marvin one of the best receivers in the league.
Yeah. And just for the record, we all know Marvin is, by virtue of the name at least, the least athletic name you could give someone.
The least athletic guy. So this Marvin fella was my receiver. I made him look fantastic year after year after year. And we got to the playoffs and we'd lose. I'm not Superman. I'm maybe more Batman, but I'm not Superman. I couldn't do it myself. We got 1 Super Bowl, and Jim Irsay should count his lucky stars that we got even that one.
Oh, so many franchises are still searching for that illustrious first Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously you're in Denver now. And
in Papa John's Pizza.
In Papa John's Pizza.
Better ingredients.
And you're playing for the Denver Broncos. I mean, what a historic team. John Elway is the VP of Player Personnel, and, reports say he was a big reason why you're there. John Fox.
Yeah, Silver Fox, I call him.
Silver Fox. Can you confirm or deny reports that he is literally the president of your fan club? That he is the actual president of the Peyton Manning fan club?
You know that little sheet a lot of coaches hold on?
Yeah.
It's a certificate that says president of Peyton Manning fan club.
I knew it.
There are not any plays on there, JC.
No plays, because he doesn't need them. He doesn't need them.
Not at all.
It's that what your team did this offseason was pretty amazing, bringing in just a stud slot receiver in Wes Welker. Talk to me about your relationship with Wes Welker, and as a follow-up question, does the fact that he has hair transplants bother you as his quarterback?
He wears a helmet when he plays, which really helps. Because if we were playing 7-on-7 with helmets up, I'd lock on Wes. Not because he's the best receiver on our team, but because I'd just be transfixed by those hair plugs and those transplants. And more power to the guy. He landed Miss Hooters International as his wife. I didn't even know there was such a thing as Miss Hooters. But he made his wife Mrs. Hooters, and Wes is a hell of a player. He's a little troll of a receiver, so guys find it hard to find him. And what I try to do is imagine myself throwing to a regular size receiver and then throw it lower. So that's what I do with Wes. That's my secret.
That's great, Peyton. Obviously, it's been a winning formula. He's having a career year this year, and how fortunate for him to go from one Hall of Famer to another.
I'm glad you bring that up. That's one of the main reasons. One of the main reasons I wanted to get Wes. I wanted to just constantly ask about Tom Brady, just complete questions about Tom Brady, because Tom and I have had what a lot of people call a friendly rivalry, and they say it's a friendly rivalry because they don't know I hate the guy's guts. I can't stand Tom Brady. He's just a cover boy. He's been riding Belichick's brains to Super Bowl after Super Bowl. If I was on Bill Belichick's team instead of Tony Dungy teams, and I don't even remember who my last coach was in Indianapolis. Who was that? Harry Fuel or something?
I don't remember the guy's name. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't even matter.
He's not working anymore.
But Belichick and I would have won 9, 10 straight Super Bowls. I mean, do you know how many Lombardi trophies we would have won? Probably 1. Because after that, they'd call it the Manning Trophy. We would have won 9 or 10 Manning trophies together. So it's nice having Wes here so we can talk about Tom Brady and all of his shortcomings. And, Wes tells me he might have some hair plugs, too.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I would have never guessed that with that beautiful name that Tom Brady has.
He's hiding a lot.
Okay. So, big expectations this season. Teams marching forward. You're fortunate to be in a situation where you're working with Hall of Famers like John Elway now as your key executive that you interact with, of course, John Fox. Let me ask you this question. What's the biggest thing that's going to prevent you potentially from winning a Super Bowl this year?
Really good question. I'm glad you asked that. I was going to say my dad, Archie, was the biggest influence on my life. See what I did there, JC? I didn't like the question, so I audibled. I got into a new one. So here's what I did. I approached the question, which you asked, which is a tough one and a good one, and I saw it was really a no-win situation for me, and I turned it into something else. And so I talked about my dad, Archie, and it was just really great watching him play for the Saints all those years, and he's the one who taught me how to love the game of football.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Manning, for taking the time, and we'll be in touch soon.
Thank you for being here.